Hello everyone. Welcome to Mining Devs. Is there any okay. So there are no specific questions as of now. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead with a basic lecture telling you guys a bit about blockchain, what exactly blockchain is, and then even what we'll do is we'll try and deploy a contract on chain, and I'll also tell you guys about some of the opportunities that you as a developer could avail in the blockchain space. In the meanwhile, I think some people might still be joining us, so we'll make sure that they join us, right? And to begin the context, I'll answer one basic question for you guys. What exactly is blockchain? So think of it as like a database, right? And I believe a lot of you are developers, so a lot of you might know what databases actually are. So think of blockchain as that, right? Blockchain is way more than a database, but right now think of it as that. And it's a decentralized database. Data is basically stored at multiple location, multiple nodes that we call them. It's not stored in a singular location. So this is one of the benefits of using blockchain. Now with this comes a great power and a great responsibility on a chain itself, because you are decentralizing the data and making the data public for user consumption. Think of it like this, that there might be a case where think of it like this, that a lot of social media platforms, they consume your data. So whatever you do, you post it. As soon as you post it on a social media, they know what you're doing, right? So because they know what you're doing, they can utilize it to sell you some products, to show you the feed that you like, so that you stay on their platform as longer as possible, right? So they're using that data, but at the same time, if I want that data, I do not have access to that data. Or if I want to remove my data from those platforms, I basically could not do that. There is a huge step, or a huge huge number of steps that you have to do before you are able to do that, right? You can, but at the same time you have to contact the company, fill out some forms and all those things, and then your data would definitely be removed from the social media platforms. But that data, is it completely removed? Is it still there? You cannot confirm that, right? So with decentralization comes power. So in a decentralized system, what will happen is that if there is a decentralized social media, what you can do with a decentralized social media is you'll be able to see data which has been made public by me, and I can choose to keep data private as well, right? uh, so this could be a very powerful thing. So I can control my data. I can control who should I share my data with, who should I make my data public to, and who can actually use my data, right? So this is one of the use cases that are built around blockchain. There are a number of cases that are built around blockchain. And why, as a developer, should you even choose to learn smart contract development? One of the reasons is there are a lot of jobs, a lot of offerings, a lot of hackathons, a lot of bounties that are available on blockchain, on different blockchains, right? So as as a developer, right, what what is it that entices you more than your salary packages? Or as as a developer, you know to build something is what your purpose is, right? And the salary packages are definitely they are a byproduct of what you're building. So if you're a good developer, definitely your packages would be more, right? And blockchain right now is offering huge packages in the industry. So a lot of you might know a lot of companies that are offering too much, right? But at the same time, not just that, there are more than sufficient opportunities right now available in blockchain space. It's hard to say that the same number of opportunities are available in analytics field, or are available in Java development, or are available in some other development, right? So, but at the same time, if you go to LinkedIn, you'll see a lot of job postings around blockchain that they require developers and of such so and so experience, and they are also inviting freshers to come and participate in it, right? So this is the scope of development on blockchain. So not just that, what you can do is, if you are a designer or if you are a musician, right? I'll suggest you guys check OpenSea.io or some NFT marketplaces that would be very very helpful to you. I believe even Cello might have some NFT marketplaces. You can go and check them out, right? But what exactly is an NFT? Now this is another question. NFT became a use case of smart contracts itself. A developer like you or me wrote the contract of NFTs. I believe a lot of you might actually know about NFTs as well, because this is something that is very popular. I've seen it throughout my lectures that NFTs, tokens, coins, cryptocurrencies, these are something that are very popular and a lot of people actually know about that. So what you can do is you can even go ahead and build an NFT on a marketplace, and as well as you can sell it, you can earn some money out of it. You can make an NFT of either your art or your music. Basically any unique item you can make an NFT of. NFT is basically non-fungible token, a token that could not be divided further into parts. But at the same time, fungible tokens can. Just think of it like this: if you have a 100 rupee note, you can basically divide it into two parts, 250 rupee notes. So 250 rupee notes is equivalent to 100 rupee notes. Now this is fungible. So 100 rupee notes can always be converted to 250 rupees note. But at the same time, if you have a non-fungible token, you won't be able to divide it into such two equal parts, or for that matter for any parts. uh, so you can definitely go check that out. There are a lot of marketplaces available and you can choose the best that you want to deploy on, right? And you can go ahead and do that. Now I think the another question that a lot of you might have is, how can you get started, right? So how can you as a developer step into this space and try to avail some opportunities that are presented by it? Guys, feel free to write down some questions in the chat box. I'll be more than delighted to take them up. If you have any questions, please make sure that you ask it today. You need to clarify your concepts around blockchain, be it anything, right? We'll try and discuss it in this call. I want it to be a two-way conversation, not a one-way conversation, right? So there might be some people who know a bit about Java, JavaScript, right? So is there anyone who knows who knows JavaScript? Can I have a quick yes and no in the chat box, please? A quick yes and a no. Now this is a question, and I want everybody to be interactive a bit. So a quick yes and a no about if somebody knows JavaScript. No would also be good. Okay, there is a no. Good start. Okay. All right. So even if you don't know JavaScript, maybe there could be one coding language that you know, right? If there is any one coding language that you know, you can just send me a yes. Okay. There is one coding language you know, right? So that is good. That is good enough for this lecture. Even if you know one coding language, that is good enough. Okay, so okay, there is one coding language that we know. Okay, Vishal, Abhishek, great. Chitesh, great. Okay. So anyone else? Okay, great, great. All right. Okay, so there is at least we know that there are developers present in this lecture. So now let me try and show you guys how to actually build a smart contract. Now that is the first step towards stepping towards blockchain, right? Before that, let me give you a brief about what smart contracts are and what are accounts. There are two things now. Uh, we'll see both of those things in practical right now when we go through it. First of all is account. So account is like your wallet basically. It stores money for you. So there are private keys to your wallet. Private keys are some keys that you will not share with anybody, right? And public keys are the keys that you can basically share with the people that are around you, and your funds won't be stolen by them. So that is the purpose of keeping your private key safe, right? And the wallet key is something that you can definitely share with everybody, and wallet key is something that everybody else will send your money on your wallet address basically. So this is all about keys and addresses, right? So wallet address is important and your private key is important. So your private key controls your wallet address, and wallet address keeps your funds with you, and you need the private key to sign and send funds if you ever want to send funds, right? So this is the first security measure that we take when using funds. Then we have the second thing, the smart contracts. So right now, the chains that have a virtual machine installed within them, right? Just like Ethereum, Celo, so they have a virtual machine installed within them. So that virtual machine basically, as I've already told, that you can store data in a blockchain. So that data could also be code, right? So you can store code in the blockchain, you can store variables on the blockchain, right? So that code is actually computed by this virtual machine. This virtual machine is something that compiles the code, takes your inputs, and formulate around your inputs, and then creates an output for you. So this is what is important when it comes to smart contracts development. You can only develop smart contracts for chains that have a virtual machine, right? And Solidity is the most favorable language to start with when you're building smart contracts. Solidity has a framework that is very similar to uh, JavaScript and Java, right? So we'll see that in a minute only. So Solidity has a framework that is very similar to that. And as well as, if anybody here knows the concepts of OOPS, so they can also then see that OOPS is something that they can use to make sure that the object-oriented programming concepts would definitely be used in the smart contract. So without further ado, let me share my screen and let me show you guys how to actually build a contract, right? How to get started from scratch. Great. Just a sec. I'll have to share my entire screen for it. Let me stop presenting once. All right, I think my screen is visible. And now, before you get started, we need to do some things here. First of all, what you need to do is install MetaMask. MetaMask is the wallet, wallet for most of the EVM compatible chains, as well as for Ethereum and Celo. So you can find this here at metamask.io and download the extension for Chrome. Please make sure that it is metamask.io. There are a lot of other websites available that will fish you for your money as well. So try and install it on metamask.io itself. So we have here, then let's add it to the Chrome, add this extension to the Chrome. This is basically what will control your wallet for you. This is a browser wallet, so it will be installed inside the browser itself. And you can see some of the warnings that are here, and MetaMask will always allow you to opt out via settings and anonymized clicks, never collect keys and addresses, because this is important. If MetaMask starts collecting your private keys, nobody will have any coins in their wallets. So this never happens. So you can feel free to make sure that this never happens. If you want to see that if this ever happens or not, you can definitely go to github.com and you can search MetaMask here, and you'll see the MetaMask extension code in the GitHub itself. So you can even try and deploy it yourself if you want to. If somebody knows how to deploy a Chrome extension, they can do that. You can use this and read the code here as well. So that you can verify that this never happens. So all the code that is deployed for the MetaMask, or all the improvements that are deployed would be here in the GitHub of MetaMask. So you can feel free to go ahead and check that. Now, this is the power of open source. You can also suggest improvements to it, to any open source project for that matter. So if you are new to MetaMask, we'll try and create a wallet, right? So this password is for MetaMask only. This is not for any blockchain activity. So let me set something that I will remember always, because you need this password if you want to log into your account, or in every MetaMask instance. Basically, if you ever forget this password, that is fine. I'll tell you why. Because in the next step, when we have a secret recovery phrase, if you have this, you won't really need your MetaMask password, because you can then uninstall it, install it again, and add your secret recovery phrase again. So this is important. This is for you to safekeeping. And you can see there are some ways that they have told to store your secret recovery phrase. Now, this secret recovery phrase is a 12-word phrase through which your private keys, your wallet addresses would be generated. So if you lose this, you lose your private key. So try not to lose it, right? And always save it. There are some steps, some of the instructions here. If you are installing it right, right while we are discussing it here, and I suggest you do that while we are discussing it here. You can try and install MetaMask along with me, so that you can get the hands-on on how to create a contract and then get started from there. Right. So let's move ahead and let's copy paste it. Right now, I'll just paste it in my browser here, just for safekeeping. Please don't do this. This is only for this video, and I'll be not I'll also not use this account anywhere. So try not to share it with anybody. Try to keep it as secure as possible, and please make sure that do not use this account as well, because this would be public to everybody. I won't be using this account again anytime soon. So just click next, and then you need to confirm your secret recovery phrase. So they'll ask you in its sequence itself. So master, ancient, and damage rabbit law, please show them. Okay, so all done, and this is it. So right now, MetaMask is installed, right? And there are some networks available as well. Let me do this as well. I'll try and show some of the networks here that are available to you by default. So this is Ethereum mainnet. So it's already connected to Ethereum mainnet, right? And if you see, you can pin it. Okay, so there are some networks as well: Ropstream, Kogan, Rinkebai, and Georly. These are Ethereum test networks. You can add more networks to MetaMask. To do that, you can just go to chainlist.org and you can search for any network that you want to add. So let's search for Celo, and let's have the Celo mainnet connected. So this right now is the account that MetaMask created using that seed phrase. You already have one account available. So let's connect it and then add it to MetaMask. And you'll see that now this account here is added to MetaMask. And you'll see that there is 0 Celo available right now in Celo mainnet. So let me as well add Celo testnet. So if you click this radio button here, it will show you the testnets as well as mainnets. So let me add the Alpha Joris network to the MetaMask. Great. So Alpha Joris testnet is added. Now let me tell you the differentiation between mainnet and testnet as well. What are exactly are mainnets and what exactly are testnets? So testnets are a copy of mainnets where all the latest improvements are deployed and tested. You can also test your contracts on testnet. It will not cost you money. So it won't cost you any money if you want to test your contracts, deploy your contracts on testnet. So it's free to do that. If you want to deploy it on mainnet, it will cost you some real currency, right? So right now, we are already connected to Alpha Joris testnet. Let me get some Celo here, right? Uh, just Google Celo faucet, and you can get the faucet here. So you can fund your testnet account with some Celo using this testnet. So let me do this transaction. This is my wallet address that I just copied from MetaMask here. This is the wallet address that is generated by that 12 that 12 phrase. Now, okay, so it's done. And let's see if we have some money here. Great, we have one Celo here, right? That is good. And okay, you can also go to Celo Explorer and check out this transaction here. Okay, we are on Celo. We need Alpha Joris. So let's change the network to Alpha Joris and search for the account address. This is the account address of MetaMask itself. This one, 912. Okay. So we have one Celo here, right? And there are some tokens available here. Okay, there are some more testnet points that are credited to this account, right? So this is great. So there are three more things available here rather than the Celo native token. We have Celo Euro, CUR, CUSD, and Serial as well, along with along with one Celo. So that is actually, I think that is because we can basically convert it to okay. So you can see a lot of things from this Explorer, right? Just try not to be confused. I'll show you. This is the homepage of the Explorer. These are the blocks that are being added. So you'll see that roughly there is I think the block generation is very quick. It's roughly 3-4 seconds that a block is generated, 6-7 seconds. So this is how a new block is generated. A block is generated, transactions are added, and let's check out this block. This has 4 transactions. It has a validator, and these are the transactions that are available, right? So you can check any transaction and feel free to explore it around a bit, because this is something that is also important when you are testing your contract. Now I'll move further. We already have the testnet here. Now we'll try and check a contract, right? So to do that, let's go to Remix IDE. Remix is a open source platform for smart contracts development. It was initially made for Ethereum, but at the same time, now all the Ethereum compatible chains you can explore here on Remix. So if you have contracts, right, there is one contract folder, scripts and tests folder. You can write scripts, you can write tests, and you can also write contracts here, right? So this is the workspace that they give you, and this is a default workspace. So if you open Remix now, you'll be able to see some of these things available to you. We are basically interested in the storage contract. This is an example contract that they have it in place for us, right? You can already see that these are comments. If you are familiar with coding languages, then you can see that these are comments, and these are also comments. You can see and read through them, right? This line here is important. This actually specifies the license that you want to keep for this contract? Do you want to keep it open source? Do you want to keep it GPL, MIT? Which type of license do you want this contract to have? Uh, it is an optional thing to do, but a recommended thing to do when you're creating a contract and deploying it on production environment. So if you have a contract, try to specify a license for it. If you remove this and try and compile it, to compile this here in Remix, you basically have to do a control plus S statement to compile it. You'll see that it will start giving you a warning that license is not provided in the source file. So before publishing, please provide it. So just will keep it like this and then compile again. So you see a small green tick mark here for successful compilation. Then the next line defines the Solidity version that you want to use. Now, why is this important? This is important because you need to specify which Solidity version you want this contract to use. Because depending on Solidity versions, your contract behavior might change. And why is it so? Because as we go ahead in Solidity versions, we bring new and new improvements to Solidity, and sometimes those improvements might hamper your contract, and this is something that you don't want to happen at all. So you specify a version that Solidity from this version to this version is okay to use, which is if any version moves up or beyond this number, then this whenever EVM tries to compile your contract, it will always compile with the previous versions of Solidity. So there is nothing bad in such a thing happening. It's not like you have to keep your contract always updated with Solidity versions, because an update might disrupt some of the functionalities that you have for your contract. And then this is how we define a contract. This is very similar to defining a class. So class, an attribute, and functions, right? So this is how you basically define a contract as well. Contract keyword is used to define a contract. Storage is the name of the contract. And then we have this uint 256 number. Now what is this? This is basically an unsigned integer of 256. Basically, what this will have is the values of 2 raised to the power of 256 minus 1. So this can store integer, positive integer. Uint is unsigned integer, so it will store positive integers only. You won't be able to store negative integers in it. So it will store positive numbers till 2 raised to the power of 256 minus 1. So that's a huge number. You can have very big numbers stored in this contract as well. Then we have a function store which takes an input of number and assigns it to number. So basically we are changing the value of number to num that we are using in this store function. And this store function is made public. So what do we mean by a public function? So this keyword, this modifier public, it means that this function will be available for everybody to use. There are more modifiers, private, internal, and external, that can define the visibility or scope of this function. So private will have scope only within this contract. Internal will have scope within this contract, as well as the contract inheriting this contract. And external will have scope outside this contract only, not inside this contract. So you won't be able to use an external function within this contract. Remix will give you an error. You can definitely try and do that. Right now, I'll be trying to cover some of the basics around here. Let me see if there are any questions right now in the chat box. Okay, so there is none. I'll keep on continuing. If I see some questions, I'll stop and try and answer some questions for you guys. So there we have the store function, which can store the number, and then we have a retrieve function, which is a public view only function, which returns a uint 256. So this retrieve function will return the value of number here. So let us try and deploy it. I've saved it right now. You'll see that there's a green check mark here. It's already compiled. And then you can come to this fourth icon, deploy and run transactions. There are a lot of providers that you can use. You can have a Ganache provider, you can have a MetaMask provider. We'll try and check MetaMask in a while. Let me show you Remix VM. Remix VM is nothing but a virtual machine that is installed in this browser itself. It comes with the extension only. So basically, it uses the computation power of our computer to compute the contracts for us. So it creates a test environment for us locally here in this browser itself. So which is quite great. So I already have an account that has 100 ether in it, right? And gas limit is something that you can increase, but this is gas limit, value and way are something that I think best left out for you guys to explore. These three values. Okay, so now the contract is storage contract that we have compiled, so this is good. And let's deploy it. So this is deployed here, it's deployed on VM, and here we have the transaction details. This is the transaction hash and everything is available here, from address and to address. And this is where you'll find your deployed contracts. This is your contract address. And now you can use the store and retrieve function. Let's use the retrieve function, see what is the value that it returns. It returns 0. So by default, if you have not specified any value to this number here, the uint 256 will return the value 0. So 0 is the default value for uint 256. And then let's try and store 20 in it, right? So let's click on store. A transaction is completed here, and try and retrieve it. So you'll see 20 being retrieved as the value that you have stored, right? So this is how you can store values on blockchain and retrieve values from blockchain. Now this is really good because you have tried to store values in a decentralized manner that is accessible to anyone globally. So if you store a value here, if you store some data here, anybody can access it, right? And there is one more brilliant thing about it, which is that view calls are free. So right now this blue color is because this function is a view function. View functions are free to use. So if you see this here, it is a call. It's not it's not a transaction. So it's a call here. So you'll not see a transaction hash here. It's not a transaction. So only transactions require gas fees or requires money. But at the same time, view functions, they do not require anything. But the normal public function, if you call store again, it will see, you can see a transaction hash here. So this means, and a checkbox here. So this means that this is a transaction that will require some fees that you have to pay when you are transacting, right? The next thing that I want to show you guys is how to deploy it using MetaMask. So right now I am connected to my AlphaJoris testnet, and I'll try and deploy it using my injected web provider, MetaMask. So it'll ask you if you want to connect it to remix.ethereum.org. Say yes, you want to, and approve it. So connecting, and then you'll see that my 912 address that is here in MetaMask is visible here now. It has 1 ether in it. It's saying ether. We have Celo here. It's saying ether because Remix was initially made for Ethereum, right? So they have not really changed this to another currency. It's saying ether still. So even Celo is an EVM compatible chain, so it's fine if it's showing 1 ether here. Now let's try and deploy this contract again. When you deploy it, you'll see that you need to, the MetaMask pops up again. It will say that this is the estimated gas fees and this is the total fees. The total fees is in Celo, and it's about 0.00008169. It's very, very low, right? And then if you confirm it, you'll see the transaction happening. In a while, it will take some while. So there it is, block 1349050452, and this is the transaction address, transaction hash. You can simply go here, try to search this transaction, by its transaction hash, you can get the details there. Successful, 3 blocks confirmed, timestamp, the value, the transaction fees, gas limit, and all those things would be available here to you to check. Then after this, okay. Then after this, we have, let's see the deployed contract section here, and let's retrieve the value of 0. Let's see if it takes a transaction from us. So it's 0 here now, right? So this means that there is no transaction that is happening. But at the same time, if you try and click on store, you'll see MetaMask pops up again. So this means that it's taking gas fees whenever a public function is called, but a public view is free to use. Right, so there is this transaction that has happened. If you try and call retrieve again, it will answer with 20. So still not a transaction because MetaMask was not popped up. So this is the basic of contract. You can try and build complicated contracts from here. If you want to check some of the contracts, you can simply go to github.com and try to search for some, or maybe you can search Celo GitHub. You can just search for any chain that you want to deploy on. Right now, we will be covering Celo here. So, and you can just search for some examples. Maybe there are some examples. So there are some examples available here, right? And you can definitely go ahead check out some examples here. Or if you search for Solidity, okay, so there are some repos with Solidity as well, right? So you can find examples almost everywhere using GitHub only, and all the code that you'll find, all the code is open source. All the projects, if you want to see contracts for any project, you'll be able to see it through their GitHub. So you can feel free to explore more contracts, try to build more contracts. Now, while we are almost at the end of our discussion, let me share some tips with you as to, if you have learned this, you have now built 1 or 2 use cases, right? What to do with it. That is important, right? So one of the best things that you can do is you can participate in hackathons and bounties that are provided by a lot of blockchains. So right now Celo has an active hackathon. So let me search Celo hackathon here. This is the website, buildwithcelo.hackers.com. So this is the website for the Celo hackathon. There was one on August 25th. Right now, the next one starts on September 26th and it will end on November 19th. Participating in hackathon is really great because they'll give you insights onto, how you can start building, what you can build on, right? As well as you can see, other participants as well and what they have built. So it will give you a lot of insights onto the blockchain industry as a whole. So quite important, if you ask me, that if you, as a developer, you can definitely go ahead, participate in some of the hackathons I have, right, when I started out. So these are quite helpful. This will also help you join the community. You can ask questions about your use cases in the community. They'll jump on a call to help you as well. So this is really helpful. If you want to get acquainted with it, then obviously if you are connected with the community, there are perks along with it. Then you'll be able to resolve your queries faster. You can check out more opportunities that are there on Celo chain, right? So a lot of things you can go ahead and explore, right? Let's review the awards and prizes for, okay, the phase 1 ideas. First 50 submissions, they'll get 50 CUSD. The total prices that the Celo is targeting is 125,000 CUSD. So this is 1,25,000 CUSD. So this is USD. Try to convert it in INR. You'll see that this prize money is actually a lot, right? So if you reach the phase three, you can see, the best projects will actually be awarded with 25,000 CUSD, 10,000 CUSD, or 5,000 CUSD. And then the top 25 projects will be awarded with a total of 25,000 CUSD. So this is quite good in awards as well. So as a college student, I believe this is huge amount of money for you to go ahead win in hackathons, right? So I've had a lot of people visiting these hackathons, winning these hackathons, and they come back to me and say, "Sir, yeah, this was really good experience, as well as we earned some prize money as well when we were doing this." So uh, from personal experience, this actually is really great. You can build a lot of knowledge when you are going through a hackathon, or you are working on something that is that you'll see for going towards production. So you can also apply for jobs here, or for as an interns here in the chains or company that are actually working towards blockchain. So that could also be good. And you can definitely go visit the guidelines, the GitHub repo as well. So they have the guidelines for as to how you can get started, right? And all right, so these are some of the themes that you can build on. ReFi. So ReFi is regenerative finance, right? So this is something that would be around decentralized financial apps and services that support regeneration of money rather than exploitation. So that is good. NFTs, then there could be some use cases around NFTs, DAOs, GameFi, game finance, basically the fusion of gaming and finance. Social fi, DeFi is decentralized finance. Social fi is social finance, right? And okay, so Shadow Composer, basically. Okay, sub themes, some of the sub themes here, quite good, right? So this is really nice. And there are awards based on tracks as well. So this is also good, right? So what I suggest is that you go through it, try to register it, and try to go through this hackathon. You'll find a lot of people as well to talk to, and get information from. So with this, I think the session is almost at an end. If there are some questions, you can feel free to ask them, and maybe we can take some of the questions now. Okay, on in the meanwhile, if there are, okay, there is a question by Sarthak. So how to deal with busy public RPC nodes? Create your own public RPC node. That could be one of your answers. So if you have a busy public RPC node, so what you can do is try to create your own, so that you can then try to uh, you know lower the node on public RPC nodes. So there is instruction on every chain on how to build your own RPC node. So you can find it, on Celo as well, on any other chain, on Ethereum as well. Regardless, on any chain that you're building, you'll be able to find it. Can we use blockchain as a CDN? Shivam, okay, this is a good question, but at the same time, let me answer this in very. There was a point that I missed. Generally, I talk about it. So the point is that a transaction on blockchain will cost money, right? So if you try and store a whole website, or even your content on blockchain, right? So it will cost you a lot. It's highly not recommended to use it as a CDN. Uh, as a if you want to use something decentralized in CDNs, I suggest you go with the decentralized storages like IPFS, and try to use something around that. I do not know a specific CDN, right? But you can try and explore it around IPFS or any decentralized storage for that matter. That would be your answer. So if something that pops in that is really speedy and uses decentralized storage, that is your answer. If we are building on blockchain, can we copyright our code? Uh, Rishabh, it depends on you actually, if you want to make it public or if you want to make it private. But if you're deploying it on blockchain, the whole purpose is to make it public, because eventually your contracts could be used by anybody. If you create a contract and I can see the transactions that are actually happening on a blockchain, all the transactions are public, right? So it's just that the addresses are not public. I do not know if that address will belong to you or if that contract address will belong to you, right? But at the same time, it is public, so that means that I can access that contract. Somehow I can decode that contract from its byte codes and try and use your functions that you have created. So if you want to copyright your code, I suggest take a centralized approach for that, not really on a blockchain. With blockchain, you'll find that all the projects are open source, so nothing is copyrighted as of now. You can try and pick up any project, fork it, and build it. Right. So there are a lot of chains that have actually forked Ethereum and build their own chains with some tweaks and some enhancements to it. Right. So this is all possible. So can you tell me the differences between proof of stake and proof of work? Uh, okay. So the differences between proof of stake and proof of work are, uh, first of all, let's understand the word stake and work. Proof of work basically is the proof uh, of computation, right? Whenever you are inserting a block in a blockchain, you have to do some work of computation using your computing power to insert it in the chain. What you do is you try and compute it faster than all the other nodes that are competing against you to mine it or to insert it in the blockchain. And in the proof of stake, what you can do is uh, you can use your stake to uh, validate the block. This is what proof of stake is. So we do not need any high computing power for that. But at the same time, it will depend on the stake that you have in your node, right? And it will also depend on chain as to how they're performing proof of stake operations. So some of the chains they select a validator on a random basis, or some of the chains they selected based on their stakes as well. So this is the difference between proof of stake and proof of work. Basically, you stake some amount of money on the node, and then validate the transaction, so that your buy-in is there in the node, and your money that is staked in the node will make will actually make sure that you do not do any chivalrous any activity that is actually not in support of the chain. So if you do that, your funds will be slashed. Can we work as a team on the platform you have shown us? uh, we are actually open to okay, yeah, you can work as a team on the platform that is shown to you. I think you can register with multiple teams as well. Let me check. Yes, the allowed team size is 1 to 4 members, so you can definitely do that. So can we, as an Indian, work in the blockchain industry? Just a second. Yeah, definitely you can. And to do that, blockchain is actually global, so anybody can come and work in it. If you see this hackathon, for example, even in this hackathon, you'll see that there is no mention of any country as a sort. So it's actually global. So right. Are there any other questions that we have here, or are we okay? Great question, guys. I think we are done with questions. So I suggest everybody to go to the hackathon and try and register for it, and see if you can build something out of it, right? If you have any questions, please feel free to join the Discord channel. We'll be available there. We'll share the links with you with everybody after this lecture as well. So please feel free to do that and ask for questions there if there are some questions that are left. Wonderful audience, wonderful questions. Thank you so much for having me here, and see you guys on the Discord channel.